I welcome you all for this What's New webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're based out of. I'm Silas. I'm a product manager at Zoho Analytics, and I'm going to host this webinar completely. And at the end of this webinar, I have a couple of colleagues from the product management team will join for the Q&A session. So please post your questions and we are happy to take it up. Let's have a look at the agenda for the day. It's pretty much straightforward. Since we have mixed audience, some of them are new to Zoho Analytics and some of them are an existing users, we're going to start with a very quick overview for Zoho Analytics product, followed by the what's new content, like what are all the features that we have released in Q1 2023. And finally, we'll have a very quick summary about those features, and we will open up the floor to take it up your questions. All right. So a quick round of overview introduction to Zoho Analytics product. It is a modern self-service BI and analytics platform. We have been in the market for more than a decade of time. So we launched this product in 2009, and we are one of the pioneer player in the cloud BI space. Currently, we have more than 16,000 paying organizations or paying customers for Zoho Analytics product in specific. Apart from this, we do have a lot of users who are using Zoho Analytics as a part of bundle applications like Zoho One and CRM Plus. So in total, we do have more than 2 million plus user base, and we do have presence across 150 plus countries. So a quick overview about the product flow. So this is a generic BI product flow. These are all the 4 different stages that you will go through with your data using any analytics application. And I'm going to highlight some of the key differentiators for Zoho Analytics in each of these areas. And our product session, what's new updates, will be given in the same format. So the first and foremost would be data connections. So businesses have data in different places. It can be files and feeds, cloud storages, business applications, and so on. So Zoho Analytics supports more than 250 plus different data sources, which allows you to consolidate everything in one place for advanced analytics. So once you consolidate the data, then you'll get into the next layer where eventually you prepare your data. So when it comes to data preparation, there are multiple aspects involved in it. You may cleanse your data, you may transform it, do some calculations and computations and so on. And also you may enrich the data and extract certain things out of it. And also you can catalog the data in terms of easy findability and dealing with massive volume of data, table, and so on. So once it is completed, the third stage is more into analysis layer, where Zoho Analytics offers a whole lot of pre-built reports and dashboards for all the business applications. And not just that, we consciously embedded AI in different layers. So we offer different AI-powered features in data preparation, analysis, collaboration, and everything. So we offer a couple of important features called Ask Zia and Zia Insights, which helps you to easily analyze your data. And also using the drag and drop interface, you can simply build any kind of reporting objects. And we support a wide range of visualizations, 50 plus visualizations in the product. And finally, the collaboration layer. So the created content has to be published or shared with different set of users with some fine-grained access controls. And also you have the option to email the report, export the report, configuring alerts, comment, and everything. Also, you can do the data storytelling in terms of creating presentations using interactive visualizations or building analytics portals and so on. So this is the typical overview or the product flow, connecting the data, preparing the data, analysis, and collaboration aspects. So these are all the key features of Zoho Analytics. So when we get into the what's new update, I'm going to touch base in the same order. All right, so let's get into the core topic of the day. What's new in Zoho Analytics? What are all the important features, enhancements that we have released in the last 3 months? Before getting started with each and every layer, I have an exciting announcement for many users, particularly the Zoho CRM, Zoho Analytics integration users. Yes, now we support notes data in the Zoho CRM and Analytics integration. So this is one of the long pending feature requests. Hundreds of users asked it. Due to some technical challenges, we were unable to address it, but finally we are able to address it. And now you can synchronize your Zoho CRM notes data into Zoho Analytics and start analyzing it based on your requirement. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do this. So I'm just getting to the Zoho Analytics product. So I'm sure this session will be more exciting for you because I'm going to show a lot of product capabilities and so on. So this is the home screen of Zoho Analytics. Most of you might aware of it. And at the top, you use this option to connect different data sources. Now, when you go to Zoho CRM, obviously you need to select the modules and fields which you prefer to use it for analysis. And now you can see we also support notes data associated with all the major modules like leads, contacts, deals, and everything. So all you need to do is simply go ahead and choose that module, and you will have some set of details coming in, and that will be automatically synchronized into Zoho Analytics for analysis purpose. Now, for existing users, meaning any users who are already using Zoho Analytics and Zoho CRM integration, can simply go ahead and open their workspace, click on data sources at the left hand side, and open the Zoho CRM integration and choose this notes module by editing the integration setup. And once you save it, in next few minutes, you will see the notes data as a module. All right. So I'm sure that's going to be an exciting announcement for many users. So let's get into the what's new update in Q1 2023. So the first update in terms of data connection, particularly in terms of the business applications, we have added two new business applications integrations with Zoho Analytics. So these are all the native integrations which allows you to fetch almost all the modules and fields from the appropriate source and do analysis on top of it. So let me quickly show you how to enable this integration. Once again, in the Zoho Analytics home screen or inside a workspace, you can click on importing a new dataset where you can go ahead and find the Instagram ads which is available. And some of you might already aware of it. We also support Instagram profiles a long back. Now you can also import Instagram ads and track some of the essential metrics like click-through rate, the spend on different campaigns, and so on. So all you need to do is just go ahead and choose authenticate your Instagram account using your Facebook business account manager account. Technically, it's going to be the same. And you can do this. You can use this data for analysis. Let me quickly show you a couple of dashboards that we have offered as a pre-built as a part of this Instagram integration. Now, this is a campaign performance, and you can see some of the key metrics like impressions, clicks, conversions, the total amount that you spent in Instagram ads, what is the click-through rate, the conversion rate, cost per click, and cost per conversion. And obviously, you can see the different funnel like impression, clicks, conversion, and a lot of key metrics. Not just that, you can see this in the account level, or you can see this in an ad performance level or an ad set level, and so on. So these are all the key metrics that we created as a pre-built report on top on Instagram ads dataset. But eventually you can also go ahead and edit any of the report and make the changes based on your requirement. So that's all about the Instagram ads. Now I'm just coming back to the other update called Odoo integration. So some of you might aware of it. Odoo is a very popular ERP application, and now Zoho Analytics will allow you to integrate your Odoo application, and you can create different reports on top of your financial data or sales data, HR data, and so on. In order to integrate the Odoo account, this integration process is slightly different because it does not follow the regular OAuth based authentication where you need to just specify the credentials and authenticate. So here you need to specify some of the details like the Odoo instance URL, the username, the API keys, and the database name, and so on. And that allows you to connect your Odoo account. Now, let me quickly show you some of the pre-built reports that we offer on top of Odoo integration. So as you might aware of it, ERP is widely used for finance data. So we offer from finance statement and finance overview, sales and purchases, HR dashboards, and so on. So you can see the asset, liability, revenues, expense, current asset, current liability, and some of the important finance statements like the balance sheet, the P&L, and the year-to-date balance sheet and income statement and everything. And similarly, you can have some non-financial reports as well on top of your data like asset and liability trends, and with them forecasting, the revenue and expense forecasting, and so on. And also more insights on top of sales and purchases module, leads overview module, and everything. So you can see the sales trend. So this is based out of the invoices that you create. And of course, if you manage your different sales orders, purchase orders, salesperson details, and everything, you can also see that data set. So you can import any of the modules from Odoo into Zoho Analytics, and you can create any kind of reports and dashboards. So that's two important update in terms of business apps integration, or to make it precise, it's new business apps integration that we have released in Q1 2023. Now, we also supported or made some enhancements in the existing integration. So when I say existing integration, these are all the integrations available for the long term or probably for the past few years. And we enhanced certain things in those integrations as well in Q1 2023. Those updates are, now we also support call view report module in Google Ads. So this is a new module that you can see in Google Ads integration if you're already using it. And similarly, the most used Reels insights in Instagram profile is also available. So you can track the Reels insights in terms of what is the engagement rate, the impressions, and everything. Some new fields are supported in Zoho projects integration, particularly in the modules like projects, task, bug, projects group, and users. And in terms of Zoho Forms integration, Zoho Forms is some of you might already using it. Now, if you're using Zoho Forms and Zoho CRM already, then we support a new field which can automatically join the Zoho CRM reference data with Zoho Forms and allow you to create the report. And some new fields also supported in Zoho People integration called address fields. And as I mentioned before, we now support notes data in Zoho CRM. All right, so moving on. Those are all the updates in terms of business apps integration. Those are all the enhancements in terms of business apps integration. Now, if you see the next update, this is more into the databases and cloud storages. So as you might aware of it, Zoho Analytics already support a wide range of data sources. Uh, these are all the data sources that is hosted over the cloud services like Amazon, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Google Cloud SQL, Snowflake, and everything. Not just that, we also connect a lot of local databases. So literally we can connect any database that supports the JDBC and ODBC drivers. So in terms of new databases and cloud storages, you might notice this, we now support Azure Data Lake in Zoho Analytics. So in order to connect Azure Data Lake, all you need to do is just go ahead and specify the connection mode. It can be a connection string or it can be credentials where you can specify the account name, the account key, and so on. The important point I just want to highlight here is whatever the data storage type is, even if it can be a container or can be a file share or it can be a tables, Zoho Analytics can import that data set and allow you to analyze and create visualization on top of it. So all you need to do is just specify these credentials or connection type and go ahead and choose the data storage type. browse the files, and connect your Azure data lake. In addition to the Azure Data Lake, now we also support the DigitalOcean Cloud Service. Now, in terms of DigitalOcean Cloud Service, we support three different types of databases within that. So, if you're using MySQL or PostgreSQL or MongoDB, we can allow you to import the data into Zoho Analytics directly and create visualizations on top of it. And at the bottom, you might notice this. Now we do support both the type of connections in the digital ocean. For example, data import and the live connect. Let's say you prefer to have your data resides in the source and do not prefer to import all the transaction data into Zoho Analytics Cloud, then you can go ahead and use the live connection model. So technically in BI world, they call it as direct querying, which allows you to synchronize only your metadata information like the column name, the data type, the table name, and so on. But the actual data, the transactional data inside each and every table will reside in your source. But if you prefer to import the data, you can also opt that. And this is something that we support in many cloud services and also some local databases. So apart from this, we now support SharePoint in Zoho Analytics. So SharePoint cloud storage integration. So once again, most of you might aware of this if you're into the Microsoft world and if you're extensively using the SharePoint as a cloud storage to have your data, host your data, and so on. You can also import that data set into Zoho Analytics and do analysis on top of it. So the process is pretty much straightforward. If you click on browse, you just need to go ahead and complete the authentication process for your SharePoint account, and you can import that data set for analysis. All right, so that's more into the new data connections in terms of the databases and cloud storages. Now, some more enhancements that we did in the recent past in terms of database connections. Uh, we do support live connection on some of the databases that we have mentioned here, like Vertica and SAP HANA. And not just that, now we also support the stored procedures in DB2 database. So you might aware of it. You have the option to go ahead and select a specific table in any databases or multiple tables, or you can also execute a query and fetch the data from database. And the fourth option is stored procedures. So in case you already define or have a stored procedure available in your source database like DB2, you can fetch that data set into Zoho Analytics. All right, so those are all the important updates when it comes to the data connections. So let's get into the data preparation layer and look at some of the updates that we did in the Q1 2023. So the first feature is formula-based lookup. So some of you might already using Zoho Analytics extensively and already well aware of how to create lookup in Zoho Analytics. But one feature that you have asked frequently is, can I create a lookup using a formula column? Now it is possible in Zoho Analytics. Let me quickly open a random example here, like deals module in Salesforce. If you could see here, we have multiple columns, and the last two columns we have here are the formula columns. So as you can see here, we have created a formula to calculate the agent days and so on. So let's assume that you have a data set where you have the first name and last name. And let's once again assume that you keep that as a username in your organization, and you prefer to use that name in your lookup with other data set or other tables and so on. You can go ahead and simply write a formula to concat the first name dot last name, and that will be available as a result in a formula column. And simply you can right click on any formula column and go ahead and choose this option called change to lookup column. In this way, you can go ahead and choose what kind of lookup that you prefer to perform, like inner join, left join, right join, like cardinality is 1 to 1, 1 to many, and things like this, and choose the destination table that you prefer to collect, the particular column that you prefer to connect, and go ahead and define the lookup. So now the formula columns will allow you to create the lookup. Now, the second capability in Zoho Analytics is something that we recently supported called multi-level tabular aggregate functions. So I have a quick example to showcase you that capability. So you might well aware of how to create the formula in Zoho Analytics. Obviously, you can create aggregate formulas, you can create formula columns on top of any raw data that comes from any source. Now, on top of it, now we also allow you to create formulas using window functions and so on. So let's see this formula quickly, which I will explain. If you see this formula, we are using running sum, and eventually we are taking the sum of invoice amount minus the lag of invoice amount, which is the previous year, and then we divide it and see the difference here. So the important factor here is now you can create multiple layers of aggregate formula in a single expression, but not just that, you can also use some of the window functions. So in this example, we have the month-wise sales trend, which shows the year-over-year comparison. So we have the data for 2022 in green color, and we have the data for 2023 in blue color. Now, when I go ahead and see this, you can see the difference between the year over year for that particular month. So let me get into the view mode. So if you see this in the May 2023, we have 22 percentage of, 22 percentage, and the difference is basically from that number, the current year, May 2023, in terms of running total. So this is not the actual data set like the regular sum. If you could notice here, we are using the running sum on top of it. On top of it, you can do a comparison between the multiple years data. So this is one quick example to explain the capability of that particular formula. But in general, the core capability what we have supported is allowing you to create a multi-level of aggregate formula along with tabular functions, window functions, and so on. All right. And one last update in terms of a data preparation layer is the query table editor. So you might aware of this query table. So if you already created SQL queries, you will very well aware of this editor. And now in this editor at the right hand side, we made it simple. We list all the columns and tables, and of course we also list most used SQL functions in all different category like logical functions, the keywords, the aggregate functions, and so on. So you can simply go ahead and hover the mouse pointer where you can get some examples and reference on top of each and every function, which you can simply go ahead and click, use it inside your query table. And also this entire query table, inside the query editor, we made some changes in the colors, which helps you to easily identify the tables, columns, and functions, and so on. So that's the important update in terms of the data preparation layer. So I'm sure this is going to be helpful. Now let's get into the most used visualization layer in terms of uh, analyzing your data, right? So in terms of visualizations, now we support some of the important capabilities in terms of interactions, new enhancements in the visualizations, and so on. So I'm just going to go through it one by one. So the first one is the overview effect. So let me open a chart. Let me open a dashboard first, and I will open a particular chart to demonstrate this capability. Now, if you see this dashboard, we have data coming from different data sources like sales, finance, help desk, and everything. And I'm particularly interested in this report called sales trend. So this is pretty much straightforward. You have the monthly sales trend along with the forecasting for the next 6 months. Now, this is a single scale where if you want to interact, you can click on a data point, view the underlying data, drill down, and everything. Now, on top of it, we are enabling this overview effect, which can be enabled by opening the settings page, choosing the overview effect, and click on apply. Now, as soon as I do this, you can see the x-axis. Just below the x-axis label, you will be able to find this overview scale, which allows you to interact with the data and focus on a specific data point and allow you to analyze it better. So I'm sure this makes many use cases easy in terms of interaction capability, because instead of creating multiple reports to see a particular timeline and focus on a particular timeline, you can have a single report. It can have a very long timeline, obviously, but you can simply go ahead and enable this overview chart to interact with the visualization and start focusing on a particular data set. So also I can use this click and drag option. I can particularly focus on an area, and I can click on that. I can view the underlying data and everything, and it will filter and show that specific data set, obviously. So that's an important update when it comes to visualization. So on top of any timeline chart, you can enable this overview effect and interact with the data better. So not just that, in addition to the overview effect, we also support something called scroll bar effect, and I'm going to show that with an example. Now, in this report, you can see the weekly trend instead of the monthly sales trend, and I have a scroll bar enabled at the bottom. So this scroll bar is once again, as I said, when you have a very long timeline and you prefer to focus on a particular range, then you can simply go ahead and enable the scroll bar right inside the settings. And also you can define the category of the thickness that you prefer to use, and appropriately the chart will change. So that's another interesting capability in terms of interaction. Now, the third important capability is combo chart with a stack bar. So this is a new visualization that we support, and this particularly addressed certain use cases. I'll show one quick example here. So if you see this particular report called Instagram impression versus reach versus engagement versus video views and so on. So this is technically Instagram data that coming in, where we have four important metrics here. So if you see this, one metric is basically impressions and the other one is reach. So I prefer to group these two aspects because this is my top of the funnel, right? Because on the marketing front, first metric is like what or how many number of impressions that you had, or how many reach that you had for each and every ad content or any media content. Now the other two category is slightly, I can group it as an engagement. So engagement is obviously somebody can go ahead and like you, comment or comment on the post and things like this, or eventually they can view the videos that you have posted. So I also consider that as an engagement. So now if you see this report, logically I have grouped this. So the first two category, the total impressions and reach, are grouped, and also the engagement and videos are grouped. Now if you see this, how I can group, I can simply go ahead and show you with a couple of steps. All you need to do is just go ahead and choose this custom combination chart, where you can specify the chart type and you can choose the style on the chart. And once you come here, you might aware of this capability called access merge. So you have the option to merge different axes together, or you can group other two different axes together. So you can, based on this access merge, you can group the different data set and have it as a single stack here. So if you see this, the impression and reach are available as a single stack view. So that's another important visualization update. And let's get into the start date and end date for the weekly format. So the next update is, let's go back to our weekly sales trend report. And if you notice this x-axis, you might pretty much aware of the week numbers below. You can see the week numbers like week 26 2022 or week 40 2022 and so on. I'm not good with this, to be frank. I don't easily connect or recall the week number and so on any given years. So instead of having the week number and the year here, we can simply go ahead and enable the start date or end date. So in the access settings here at the bottom, you can see something called start date. So if I select this, so instead of showing the week number, it will show you the start date of a specific week. So you can see the May 1 and similarly the 26th June. So that's the starting date of that particular week. And similarly, you can also enable the end date of a particular week. So this helps you to easily identify the data set and do analysis or interact with the data. Now, the other update, or more into the pivot view, so something called subtotal labels. So in this case, let me open a couple of examples, or probably I will create a new chart to explain it better. So let me go ahead and open a new pivot view. So in this pivot view, I have opportunity owner, which is the salesperson, and also I have the stage, and I prefer to see the amount. So as you can see here, simply we have the different opportunities owner, which is the salesperson, and also I have the stage here, the different stage, and what is the deal value that we have in total. Now, the subtotal that you see here is called Augustin Paul, and then obviously you see some number, the total uh, amount on which is grouped by the particular salesperson. Now, instead of this, I prefer to add a suffix or a prefix on top of your subtotal label. So what I can do, I can go to the settings, and here in terms of the layout, I have something called subtotal label. So here I can say, uh, simply I can say that sales performance. On apply, now you can see this, the subtotal is added with a text. So this is a constant text that added on top of all subtotals. So if you prefer to make this customization, you can simply go ahead and click on the settings and make the changes appropriately. And the other important update when it comes to the pivot view is fit to screen option. So again, I'm going to use the same example. So if you see this, I just have 3 columns in this pivot view. And obviously we have a lot of empty space here. Assume that I have 10 different columns in this pivot view as well. Then it might be a scrollable option where I need to go ahead and scroll and make the changes or see the particular data point and so on. So instead, based on whatever the screen that you're seeing these reports, you can go ahead and click on the settings and choose this option called fit to screen. So the column width can adjust appropriately based on your screen size. So based on my screen size, the 3 different column sizes automatically adjust. So instead of making the manual changes and updating it, you can choose this option, which makes the report easily readable. All right, so the next update is log and square root scale in chart. So let's get back to the visualization layer again. Now, if you see this visualization, the reports that we have, like the impressions and everything. Now, if you see here, we have this impression and reach, and obviously we have the values in this scale is a constant linear values like 20,000, 40,000, and so on. If I prefer to switch to the log scale, so when I click on log scale, which eventually it goes in a logarithmic scale and easy to analyze the data. So this is not applicable for all data set. So I will give you one example. Like let's say we have the COVID uh, data, like number of people affected, number of active cases, and number of death rate, and so on. So if you compare it, basically the active cases were in millions literally, and you have the death in some thousands and so on. So if you try to plot both those data set in a single chart, eventually you will have a big difference in terms of scale. So to adjust and show that appropriate value, you can choose the scale like log, which eventually help you to adjust these values and make it more exponential at the left hand side, and make it more readable. So this can be used in some specific use cases. So similarly, you do have something called square root. And once again, you can see that how exactly the scale at the left changes. So the initial difference between the 0 to 20,000 is high because you have a lot of data points out there. And then how exactly it moves out. So this kind of scale will be really helpful when you're using the use cases like Pareto analysis and so on. So you can change the scale type using linear, log, and square root. So that's an update in terms of visualization. So we have good set of updates in terms of visualizations. Now let's get into the interactions. So interactions is nothing but it is also a part of visualization. So how you typically interact with the data set, you can go ahead and make some customizations with the new features. So let's start with applying user filter enhancement. So applying user filter enhancement is something that we recently introduced. If you see this particular dashboard called customer experience dashboard, or I call it as CX dashboard. Now I have lot of filters, or I could say the user filters at the top. Now when I go ahead and make the changes here for each and every data set or every filter, dynamically the reports and the KPIs will change here at the bottom. So to avoid it, because I have multiple filters, so instead of making the changes for each and every filter and that the reports will be loading at the same time, you go ahead and make the changes on the other filter and so on, which makes the process uh, bit uneasy when you're trying to deal with many filters, right? So in this case, what you can do is you can click on settings and you can choose this third option, apply user filter immediately on selection. So this is enabled by default. You can go ahead and deselect it and click on apply and save this. So if you see this, now when I make a change in any of these filters and any new filters when I'm trying to make the changes, you could see I have a new option called apply. So only after making all the changes in all different filters I have, then I can click on apply and I can see the data set appropriately. So that's one enhancement when it comes to the user filter. And another important update when it comes to the user filters is preset filter. So I'm sure this feature will make a lot more interaction simple. Let me show you that. Once again, I'm going to use the same example here. We have multiple filters. We have timeline filter, we have the deal name, we have the salesperson, deal stage, and everything. Now, let's say I just want to focus on the last 6 months. And similarly, let's say I just want to focus on a couple of deal names in specific. And let's say I just want to focus on salesperson. So here, no salesperson assigned. And I prefer to focus on a particular deal stage or something. So I select a combination of values in different user filters. So when I do this, you will see a pop-up coming up at the left called save or save as. So I can simply go ahead and save this and say it as like preset filter or deal names ones or deal group one or whatever it is. And I can save this. So whenever I come back, instead of making changes on each and every user filter separately, I can simply go ahead and click on this drop down and I can choose that preset filter, which will automatically apply the values across different filters. So every time you don't want to go ahead and make the changes and access it. So you can save it as preset filters and use it easily. So that's another important update when it comes to the interactions. And the last update is pretty much a simple update. If you notice this, something called list all values in numeric columns. So typically when you have a numeric column as a as a filter here, for example, let's say I just have this amount as a numeric column and so on. I always have the scale where I can go ahead and filter it using the scale. So instead of it, here I have the option to choose list all values. So in this case, each and every value will be available as a list. So I can simply go ahead and click on that amount and choose that filter in specific. So this is also helpful in several cases when you're using cascading filters like multiple filters. All right, so those are all the important updates when it comes to the interactions. Now, let's get into and most exciting part, Ask Zia and Zia Insights. So Ask Zia, as you well aware of this, it's an AI assistant where you can simply ask the question and the report will be built automatically. And Zia Insights is nothing but providing a set of narrative summary on top of your visualizations. Now, in Zia Insights, if you could notice this particular report, we have sales versus target. So we have the monthly sales trend, and also we have a target called $8 million. So when I use the Zia Insights, Now, Zia Insights typically works with different predefined actions like comparison analysis, trend analysis, and so on. But also, it will include this thresholds. So you can see here the threshold based comparison that December 2022 exceed the target by plus 5%, which is my threshold value. And similarly, it is also going to include some of the capabilities like year over year analysis, month over month analysis, and so on. So it runs on set of heuristics, algorithms, and techniques to give you a narrative summary on top of any given report. And we are keep expanding that capability inside the ZI Insights. All right, the next update is in Ask Zia. So as you're well aware of it, you can see, you can simply go ahead and type your questions in Ask Zia and the report will be built automatically. Now, if you have any specific questions towards geo columns, for example, sales by location and or sales by states and so on, Ask Zia will automatically understand your question, try to build the appropriate geo-based chart because you have the state as a geo column inside your dataset. Now, if you technically see these data sets, let me open that leads table and you can see a geo column here available called state, city, country, and so on. Now, if you see the country or state, this is a descriptive text or a typical name called United States or United States of America and so on. There is something called alpha codes, alpha 2 and alpha 3 codes, which is kind of a short name for the country. For example, United States of America can also called as USA as per the alpha 3 codes. So that's an ISO standard. Now, similarly, for state, you may have different abbreviations, for example, the New Jersey or New York and so on. So what we do for all the geo columns, we have this synonyms pre-trained. So instead of asking the questions like, show me the sales in United States of America, you can simply ask, show me the sales in USA, because technically that's alpha 3 code for that particular country name, right? So it can map it and it can give you the result automatically. So this is applicable for both state and country column. And obviously you have a standard called alpha 2 codes and alpha 3 codes as per ISO. You can use those codes inside your question and get the reports as an answer. All right. So with that, let's move to the final phase, the collaboration aspects. So there are different capabilities, a lot of enhancements that we have released in terms of collaboration. So we are highlighting some of the important capabilities. By the way, we hadn't mentioned all the capabilities that we have released in Q1. We just mentioning some of the important features that we have released. Now, in terms of collaboration, if you notice this, we allow you to build analytics portal, right? So I believe some of you might aware of it. Let me quickly show you one example. So this is an analytics portal. This is like a microsite. So instead of providing access to the entire product, you can simply provide access to this analytics portal where the end users can easily come, navigate using these pages, and with these pages they can access the different visualizations, dashboards, or different components like videos, map, and everything, which you can compile together and publish it as a portal. Now in this portal we just made some enhancements in this navigation menu. So previously it was slightly limited. Now you can have up to 3 levels of pages in the portal menus. So you can have this is one good example. So marketing is the first level, and inside the marketing page you have different types of marketing like online ads, social media, and so on. And inside the social media, once again, you have different social media handles. So you can navigate and allow the users to choose that specific page, which helps you to better organize your analytics portal and access the reports appropriately. So instead of coming to the product, you can publish it as an analytics portal. Now, the other important update, so this is going to be helpful for many partners or many enterprise customers who prefer to switch or transfer the account from one person to another due to various reasons. So here we support a new capability called workspace migration. Now, to use this feature, you need to access this organization settings at the right hand side top corner. So this user interface might slightly look different if you're using the Zoho Analytics product. Uh, this interface, since it's a Zoho One demo account, the user interface is slightly different. But however, you'll be able to find this tab called migration in both the user interface. Now, in migration tab, you will find two different options. One is migrate to this instance or migrate away from this instance. So when I say migrate away from this instance, it's nothing but it allows me to migrate a specific set of workspaces from my account along with the data source. I can go ahead and choose it and I can download it as a file. So when I generate it as a file, it will be available, it will be downloaded as it will be available as a downloadable file, which you can take it to another account and you can go ahead and choose this option again and choose the first option in the destination account and choose next. Choose the file you have exported from the source account and you can simply go ahead and import this dataset. So this solves a lot of problem because typically you build a lot of things in one account and you prefer to copy it to another account or move it to another account for various reasons, which can be done easily. And also another update, which is something that being used in terms of Zoho Analytics is whenever you're trying to add a new user, when you come and access the Manage Users tab and add any new users, typically as soon as you add a new user, I mean, the visualizations or workspace will not be shared with them by default. But in the new update, it'll it'll give you a pop-up where you can simply go ahead and type in the workspace or the views that you prefer to share as a part of the flow and go ahead and use it easily. So that's another update in terms of collaboration. And a couple of updates in terms of, once again, in terms of the collaboration is whenever you're going to share any reporting objects with different users, you have the option to control the migration path. For example, the drill down path. So for example, when you go ahead and share any reporting objects, you can go ahead and choose the different levels of controls like export, view underlying data, and everything. So here you have the option to change the drill down settings where you can also include or exclude the drill down path which you prefer to use. And one last update, some of you might aware of it. We already support something called activity logs and audit logs. So this is typically kind of an enterprise feature widely used by many users where they prefer to audit and see what are all the activities or accesses performed by different set of users inside an organization or external users and so on. So if you enabled it inside the organization settings, you can simply go ahead and access this dashboard. And also you can access the underlying data behind the scenes. So in the underlying data, if you could notice this, we recently started supporting some of the activities like modifying the views or I could say edit or update or any kind of modification actions that you perform will be captured as a part of your activity log in Zoho Analytics. All right, so with that, I'm just giving you a couple of last updates. So this is not for all users. If you're using the white label version of the product, then you can simply go ahead and see the home screen of the product basically, because this is slightly different. Previously, the homepage of white label users was bit old or outdated. Now we have updated and matched it along with the Zoho Analytics home screen. But however, the product is completely white label, so you will have a different experience as an end user. And another update in terms of white labelers, we also provide an option to map the trusted domains in terms of published URL or embed URL that you generate in an wireframe, the white labeled instance in Zoho Analytics. All right, so I think with that, I'm sure these set of updates are going to be super helpful for you as an end user. So before getting into the QA, I'd like to quickly summarize these capabilities. So in terms of data connections, we have added new data connections in terms of business applications, databases, cloud storages, and so on. And similarly, in terms of the data preparation layer, multi-level formulas, look up on the formula column, and a lot more features are added as a part of it. And a lot more capabilities are added in terms of visualizations like overview chart, scroll down effect, and also some more interaction capabilities like preset filters and apply filters and a lot more. And also in terms of collaboration, the workspace migration, the user addition as a part of sharing the reporting objects as a part of the user addition flow, and various features that we have supported. I'm sure these are all the updates going to be super helpful for you. If you're looking for some specific updates in the product or enhancements, please do share it with us through support@zohoanalytics.com. Obviously, our product management team will look into it. We will add it in our queue. We will we will adjust and prioritize our feature request and roadmap based on your request. And I'm sure these updates are going to be helpful to you. If you need any assistance or if you need any clarification, please do not hesitate to contact us through support@zohoanalytics.com. And if you prefer to leave this webinar, obviously please go ahead and click on end at the left hand side top corner or the bottom corner, and you can see the survey where you can give your ratings. So with that, thank you all for attending this webinar from the Zoho Analytics team, and we are looking forward to connect with you in another exciting webinar. Thank you and have a great day ahead.